What's up, everybody? Welcome back to part 2 of today's show on the Thomas Take. I'm Ryan Thomas, your host, and I'm just wrapping up part 1 of the show. Talked about the trade today that the Buffalo Bills made. Reggie Ragland moving from Buffalo, moving his bags to Kansas City. Obviously, I gave my take on that, and I want you guys to tune in. Much like any other sports topic, I give my take uncut, unfiltered, clear-cut, honest, straight from the heart, Thomas Take. That's what I preach here on this show. And I wanted to hop back on to talk about the Buffalo Bills positional breakdown, is what I'm going to call it. But unfortunately for them and for the fans, myself included and millions of others, the position is breaking down, and that is the position of the quarterback. We are at a real state of emergency at the quarterback position at One Bills Drive, in case you haven't heard. T.J. Yates suffered a concussion in Saturday night's preseason game, as did Tyrod Taylor. It's well known that Tyrod Taylor did. It's not as well known that T.J. Yates did. That story coming out a couple days after the game, or the day after the game. And we have two quarterbacks that are concussed. The only healthy quarterback as of early this afternoon was Pitt rookie quarterback, 2017 fifth-round draft choice, Nathan Peterman. And it's well known, my thoughts on Nathan Peterman. I gave him a ringing endorsement pre-draft, called for the Buffalo Bills to select him in the 4th or 5th round, and I was very, very thankful that they did. I am very, very thankful that he did, because in my eyes, he is the only quarterback on this roster that can throw. The only one. And that does include Tyrod Taylor. So Nathan Peterman will most definitely get some snaps with the ones in camp this week and practice this week, and will most definitely get some snaps with the ones in the Week 4 preseason game. But there is a new quarterback at One Bills Drive. His name is Keith Wenning. And in case you don't know who that is, I did not either. So that is the reality of the situation. A street free agent quarterback that has not thrown a NFL recorded statistical pass since 2000, actually an NFL pass period, but hasn't thrown a statistical pass in both NFL or college since 2013, 4 years ago. So realistically, what is the outlook on the position? Okay, we just brought up Keith Wenning. I just brought up Keith Wenning. What are the Buffalo Bills going to do with Keith Wenning? Is he a part of their future? 100% no. There is no chance that Keith Wenning makes it past Black Monday, as they call it, when the rosters are trimmed from 90 to 53. There is no chance. This is a street free agent brought in due to the injuries that they have at the position, and realistically, I don't see him lasting on this team. There is some positives with Wenning. He does have some familiarity, with Rick Dennison, the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator. So that end of the spectrum, things are exciting. It's a good thing that Wenning is on the Bills. He has familiarity. Man, I botched it again. With the Buffalo Bills offense, and Nathan Peterman needs that. He needs a guy in the quarterback room that can bring him up to speed on this offense and make him better than he already is. And I really think that the best quarterback on this roster is not Tyrod Taylor. It's definitely not T.J. Yates. I think it is Nathan Peterman. I'm a believer. I've been a believer since 1992, but I've been a believer in Nathan Peterman since 2-3 years ago. I've watched this kid at Pitt perform in some really pressure cooker situations, playing against Clemson, playing in Clemson, playing a shootout, winning a shootout versus the first-round draft choice Deshaun Watson, who was arguably one of the best quarterbacks in college football last year, if not the best. And although he wasn't drafted as the best, as Mitch Trubisky was drafted the highest in the 2017 NFL draft, the most well-known, the most notorious quarterback heading into that draft was Deshaun Watson, and Nathan Peterman, who was drafted in the 5th round, outplayed him in that game. There's plenty more moments, but that's definitely one that sticks out. All the NFL experts, quote-unquote experts, that said Nathan Peterman didn't have the NFL arm, He times his throws very well. He has anticipation on his throws. He plays very smart. There are some plays there, here and there, where he's played pretty ugly. He's thrown some balls at the defensive lineman. Terrell Suggs batted down a couple Saturday night. There was the play where Peterman rolled out, and he did fumble. He did have to dive back for the ball. Pretty ugly, sandlot-looking play. But we're going to see that from time to time, especially with a guy that's a rookie. Those excuses can be made for a rookie. They cannot be made for a quarterback that spent 4 years behind Joe Flacco and is entering his third NFL season as a starter, his seventh season in the league. So it is what it is. I think that Tyrod was forced to take a pay cut because he didn't have any other options. I think that Tyrod is a one-year flyer. I think Tyrod will be cut at the end of this season, whether he does well or not. I think the Bills are looking to move on at the position, bring in another young quarterback to compete with Nathan Peterman, so they have not one young quarterback but two young quarterbacks that they can really develop once and for all. Really develop a quarterback. We didn't see that with E.J. Manuel. We didn't see that with J.P. Lossman. We sure as hell didn't see it with Trent Edwards. So there are cases in point in years past where this franchise has failed to develop a quarterback. It's plagued this franchise. And I think that they have a really good chance with the coaches in the building to develop Nathan Peterman into something. He might not be a starter. He definitely won't be a starter if the Bills end up drafting a guy like Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold or Josh Allen, barring that these three quarterbacks are in the 2018 NFL draft. But I think that he'd be a hell of a backup. And the last time the Buffalo Bills had a backup that was, of any skill, it was when we had Frank Reich. So obviously there are some ways to build a team and ways not to build a team. You need your ones and your twos to be good, especially at the game's most important position. And right now, there's very little depth at the position. I was very surprised when the Buffalo Bills traded Cardale Jones for a conditional 7th-round draft choice and did it in the wake of keeping T.J. Yates. I'm not a big T.J. Yates fan. He's an NFL journeyman quarterback. I thought the eye test says what it says. Cardale Jones is a much more versatile athlete, a much more physically gifted quarterback. And, yeah, he's raw. He didn't have all the intangibles that a polished NFL product would, but I liked going with a hybrid type player, a question mark type player, a true prospect project type player as your third round quarterback, rather than T.J. Yates, who is an NFL journeyman who will not be on the roster, maybe even come the start of the season now that he's hurt, maybe even definitely not next year. So it is what it is. I'm not too confident about the quarterback position. Realistically, I think that this is the worst group of quarterbacks that you could put on one NFL team. And I think Nathan Peterman is the best one, and Nathan Peterman is a 5th-round rookie quarterback. So I personally believe that if Tyrod can't stay healthy, if Tyrod does not play well in 2017 to start the season, why not move forward with Nathan Peterman? Why not see what you can get out of him? Why not see where he is at skills-wise as an NFL starting quarterback? And it does not help his case when you have veterans on the team like Eric Wood, like LaShawn McCoy, that are stating that this guy's the real deal. He comes ready. He demands respect in the huddle. And these are exact quotes from the most veteran leaders, the guys that have the most experienced the most experienced players in the league. I'm fumbling over my words a little bit because it fires me up. It fires me up that we have a guy like this on our team that was a 5th-round flyer, and I want to see what he can do. I want to see if it were up to me, he'd be starting week 1. I've seen what Tyrod can do. I've seen for sure what Tyrod can't do. So let's put a guy out there that could be a part of our future rather than a guy that we know is not going to be a part of our future. And that is where I am at in terms of the Bills quarterback situation. We haven't had a solid quarterback since Drew Bledsoe, but Drew Bledsoe was at the end of his career, was making the last prime pit stop of his career realistically. Moving on to Dallas, he didn't really do much of anything. Doug Flutie was discounted, was casted off for Rob Johnson. realistically since Jim Kelly. We have not had a franchise quarterback. And it is what it is. But at the same time, it's been too long. We have failed to develop a quarterback. We failed to develop J.P. Lossman. We failed to develop E.J. Manuel. We basically chastised Trent Edwards after suffering one of the worst concussions from the worst hits that I've ever seen. And it is what it is. I mean, that was 10 years ago, which is crazy to think, but it was. And facts are facts, though. We need to develop a quarterback. And we know what Tyrod can't do. We know his limitations. We know that he cannot hang in the pocket and take a hit. And then that hit was dirty. The hit throttled his head back, bounced his head off the ground. But he's a very small quarterback, small frame, and I think that we need to see what another quarterback can do, and that next quarterback is Nathan Peterman. Keith Wenning is a bit of a head-scratcher for me. I don't understand why they would bring him in outside the fact that he knows the offense. I would probably cut T.J. Yates today and cut Keith Wenning and add Christian Ponder. I'm not a big Christian Ponder fan, but Christian Ponder has been through a lot in his career, ups and downs. I think he does have some talent. I think that there's reason that he could be a good third-string quarterback as opposed to T.J. Yates. I'd much rather have Ponder than T.J. Yates. That's the position I'm in, and I would sure as hell rather have Christian Ponder than I would Keith Wenning. So it is what it is. But that was the second part. That was the Thomas Take, and that was the second part of today's show. I appreciate you all for joining me. You're listening to the Thomas Take on Rochester Sports Network, rocksportsnetwork.com. Live on Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, YouTube. Subscribe. I've been having an awesome time these past 2 years hosting this show, getting feedback from everybody, getting Thomas Take mailbag questions. That's what I want from you guys, to mail me some questions, send me some DMs, slide into my DMs, hit me up with some questions, and let's let this thing roll. It's football time. It's fantasy football time. You're listening to the 3-time champ, about to be 4-time champ, quite possibly could be 5, 6, 7-time champ when it's all said and done, being the amount of fantasy football leagues I am in this year. So it is what it is. Let's let it roll. Listen to the Thomas Take. I really hope you guys enjoy it. I enjoy it. I enjoy talking on the airwaves for you guys, and I enjoy talking Bills football, MMA, boxing. We got a big boxing fight coming up. Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin, September 16th. I'm going to give you guys my recap on HBO's 24/7 Wednesdays, along with HBO's Hard Knocks on Wednesdays. So a little bit of a different flavor to the Thomas Take, not just the same usual talk of Bills and MMA and things like that. I'm going to recap some shows that are on the biggest sports network, one of the biggest sports networks, I should say, HBO. They do a fantastic job documenting fights as big as Canelo versus Triple G, and obviously documenting the life of an NFL player during NFL training camp. So that being said, please feel free to tune in to part 3 of the Thomas Take. I'm going to give you guys the player that I believe, if not Nate Peterman, if not Sam Darnold, if not Josh Allen, if not Josh Rosen, and yes, Lamar Jackson is completely off my list for obvious reasons. He's a Tyrod Taylor 2.0, and that's not my type of quarterback that I want at One Bills Drive. I'm going to give you guys my quarterback that I would want, that is not Sam Darnold, that is not Josh Allen, that is not Josh Rosen, barring that those players do decide to take part in the 2018 NFL Draft. I'm going to give you my quarterback that I would love to see in Buffalo Bills red, white, and blue. Stay with me. This is the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. We'll be right back.